Maybe I will do some content for you guys. So I went the other night with a few friends to watch It Chapter 2. And I wasn't a big fan of it. Now, I am pretty well versed in Stephen King. Growing up, my mother was a huge fanatic of his. She has like all of his books, she has all of his movies, all of his adaptations. She's got short stories, she's got alias novels, she's got all of... I'm pretty sure she's broken into Stephen King's house and stolen his Cliff Notes. But, like, you know those really expensive, really nice Dark Tower comic hardback novel books? She has those. I tried to steal them, she wouldn't let me take them. Because they're really nice and they're really cool. Dark Tower's fucking awesome. The movie was shit. Anywho, she is a Stephen King fanatic. So growing up, I was very, very versed in Stephen King. I've seen multitudes of his films. By the way, why haven't we had The Stand adaptation yet? Don't do a movie. Do a miniseries on Netflix. Please. But I like Stephen King. My favorite... adaptation of Stephen King in film form is probably The Silver Bullet. I really like that one. It's based on a book I used to have called Cycle of the Werewolf. If I could find another copy of that, that'd be awesome, but I'd have no idea where to look for it. It was a really cool book that had the illustrations and stuff in it, and I just remember, like, it was the coolest fucking thing reading it as a kid, because I was like, I'm not supposed to read this, but I was reading it. But I'm a fan of Stephen King. And, when they were remaking it, I was worried. Because, let's be honest, Tim Curry as Pennywise was scary and hilarious. And I think they tried very hard to channel that in this movie. The original remake, It Chapter 1, had a bit of comedy. You know, you had the Losers Club, you had the comedic character who's also in fucking Stranger Things, which is pretty cool. You had a lot of funny there. But it was also pretty tense and pretty frightening. Now, as an adult, it's hard to scare me with clowns and monsters, but it was really effective, I would say, from a child's standpoint. But Chapter 2? I'm hesitant to say it's a bad movie, because it's not a bad movie. The casting is amazing. I would say it's probably perfect, because you've got all these really good actors that are very accurately portrayed as the adult forms of the Losers Club. And I think it was really good on casting. Dialogue between the characters is really good. I think the places where the film falls short, in my opinion, are the scares. Because none of it really felt anywhere near as tense as the first one. I believe they toned it down hardcore. The scares just aren't that great. And Pennywise himself isn't that great. I had a real problem with the tone of this film. Now, I'm gonna talk about some spoilerish stuff here. If you haven't seen the movie and you're excited to go see it, by all means, go watch it before you watch my stupid little video. But, like, the best example of tone issue that I can remember, there is a scene near the end of the movie where they're fighting Pennywise. And the comedic character is talking shit to him while he's like about to throw a rock at him. And Pennywise hits him with the deadlights. I remember how other people responded to being hit with the deadlights. Like, if you take the original miniseries, most of the time it was in awe and fear. When you had Beverly in Chapter 1 get hit with the deadlights, her eyes glazed over and she was in a trance-like state. But for some reason, when Richie gets hit with the fucking deadlights, he makes this derpy, goofy fucking face, shifts the entire tone of the scene, and really just, it put me off. A lot of the movie was either trying too hard to be funny or unintentionally funny. I know all of you have seen the trailers. You remember the creepy grandma? Number one, that scene starts off really fucking good because you know it's going to get creepy. If you've seen the original miniseries or the trailers, you know it's going to get creepy. The problem I had with that scene was, and I'm in a theater full of people, during that scene, there's the part where the creepy grandmother goes past the doorway, all, creepy and gangly and whatnot, and it's supposed to freak you out. Everyone in the theater laughed at that. And I'm just irritated because I'm like, I found it funny. They found it funny. Somebody developing this film should have been like, this is kind of goofy. We should change this up a little bit. But they didn't. I still think that scene ends really well because when when the grandmother version of Pennywise goes full on nightmare fuel, it's effective. Holy shit, it was fucking effective. But those kinds of tone issues really bothered me. Another scene, and this is also something that was in the trailers. It quite frankly pisses me off that nobody thought to change this. There is the funhouse scene where the adult version of Bill is trying to save a boy from being killed by Pennywise. And they're in like a hall of mirrors and glass, and you have the boy trapped in a little box. Bill's on one side, Pennywise is on the other side, and Pennywise is going to eat this kid. You know it's fucking coming. The problem I had with this scene was the part where Pennywise licks the glass. Now me, being an individual who would care and would have some level of integrity and intelligence and foresight, if I was going to have Pennywise lick glass that had a delicious scared child on the other side, number one, he would have his teeth out, the fangs. Number two, his tongue would be this massive, monstrous, and he would drag it up the glass in a horrific manner. They didn't decide to do this. Instead, Pennywise looks like that goddamn dog filter that you see in a bunch of girls' profile photos on Facebook. That's not good. And people laughed at that. It's not scary. It's not intense. It doesn't build any tension. They did save the scene afterwards with Pennywise slamming his head into the glass and it being effective, and him, yes, he does eat the kid. There's a lot more child murder in this one than there was in the last one. So I'm so confused by their tone shift. They tried to go really darker, but they also had a lot of dumb, goofy shit. Like moments when Pennywise was effective, I think his interactions with Richie as an adult, where he's like, I know your dirty little secret, because there's a lot of homophobia in this movie, which is in the book, and it is effective in what it does. I thought that was a pretty good scene. Another scene later where Ben is being basically buried alive. Pennywise comes out and he's like, all those push-ups and you're still just a little fatty fat boy. That was funny. That was good. But a lot of other moments just didn't really click with me. A lot of other moments just weren't all that great in my opinion. And it's just a huge tone shift. Like, I feel like the film has a collection of really good moments. Like, at the beginning of the film, when it starts off with the hate crime against the gay couple, and then Pennywise eats the boyfriend's heart out, that was interesting. That was good. But then there were other moments where it just kind of fell flat for me. And it's disappointing, because I was excited for it. The original Chapter 1, I think, is solid. I would rewatch Chapter 1 several times because I feel like it was pretty damn good. But Chapter 2 just wasn't that great. Another instance, at the end of Chapter 1, the Losers Club, the kids, fight Pennywise. And I think that the interaction is very effective. I think it feels tense. It feels climactic. The fight between the adult versions of the Loser Club and Pennywise was shit. He's just a giant amalgamation of spider and clown, and they're pretty much running away from him most of the time, and it's not great. Like, Pennywise, granted, in the original miniseries he wasn't portrayed as the most intellectual thing ever, but I didn't like the interaction. And then the Losers Club is like, we have to use our imagination and make him small so we can defeat him, and I didn't understand that. Pennywise is an intergalactic cosmic eldritch horror. That's what he is. In the books, it's explained exactly what he is, and there's the giant turtle, which they avoided entirely for these films, which I think is a good thing. Because let's be honest, Stephen King books, you don't really want to adapt them exactly in film form. I mean, if anybody remembers what happened at the end of Chapter 1 in the book, with the Losers Club, the kid orgy. Nobody wants to see that, unless you're fucking weird. Anywho, they avoided a lot of that stuff, but Pennywise at the end of the day is an eldritch horror. He's an intergalactic devourer of worlds. He's this monster that feeds off fear and terror and you know, people's, like, I've heard so many people complain, like, why doesn't he just kill these kids? He kills and eats people regardless, but he likes to get them scared because it makes them taste better. And he's not depicted as very intelligent because there's so many moments when he can kill them that he doesn't. And I'm just like, they're ripe, dude. Just fucking take a bite. And then you have moments where he randomly kills people even after not killing them for so long. Like one of the Losers Club members dies during the final confrontation, which I thought was anticlimactic in the original series as well. Like, it's just not that great in my opinion. But the fight between them pisses me off because in the original Chapter 1, not the original, not the miniseries, in Chapter 1, the remake, it is determined that because the kids aren't afraid of him, he's essentially fucked up cooking his meal. Like when Beverly is like, I'm not scared of you, and he sniffs her, he's like, ugh, you will be. And he shows her the deadlights. It's him trying to salvage what he's cooking. You do not have power over Pennywise with your imagination. This is not fucking Nightmare on Elm Street, The Dream Warriors. This is Pennywise. He is a fucking Cthulhu monster of sorts, and he likes to scare you. Your imagination should not sway his power. Granted, if he can't scare you, he's probably not going to want to eat you. Maybe you taste bad at that point, but when the Losers Club is basically using their imagination to make him smaller into a little bitty baby clown so they can tear his heart out, I was just like, this is stupid. This makes no sense. This is fucking retarded. I mean, even the original miniseries got that right. Like, he was a dumb big spider monster, but they eventually just had to, like, attack him, hit him in his deadlights, knock him over, and tear him apart. Okay, cool. But I didn't like this portrayal. I didn't enjoy it. I thought it was really botched. The tone of the movie sways too hard between trying to be scary and trying to be funny. This is not Evil Dead. Yes, Tim Curry's portrayal was funny, but that's because it's fucking Tim Curry. And I just got really irritated with a lot of the dumb shit in this movie. I'm still very hesitant to call it a bad movie, but I have so many problems with it. Whereas the original, the original, I keep saying the original. Whereas Chapter 1 Remake, I think is a good film, one that I would want to rewatch countless times. This one, I don't find it to be that good. There was just a lot of problems. Not to mention the abundance of flashbacks. Some flashbacks were really good at fleshing out the story, explaining a lot of what happened between characters and stuff. Because in Chapter 1, where you just assumed, oh, well, they got back super quick. I think originally, though, they got back after a certain amount of time. It wasn't like the next day, because everybody experienced all this horrific shit while they were separate and while they were weak. But, I don't know, just Chapter 2 wasn't that great. It was honestly a big disappointment for me. I was excited for it, but after watching it, I just kind of felt like it was... I feel like it was a waste of my fucking time. I paid $9 for a ticket to watch this movie, and I want my $9 back. It's not bad enough for me to get mad at. Like, I've seen some people getting really pissed off over it. It's not like it's rant-worthy, but it is a botched effort, in my opinion. I've heard that there may be a supercut made of Chapters 1 and 2 where they splice them together and edit some stuff around, and if they do, they need to change a few things. Number one, take out the goddamn dog filter tongue. Take that out. Change it. Please. And number two, try to work on the tone. Because whereas the Chapter 1 was really good at mixing horror and funny because they were actually separate, Chapter 2 just kept trying to splice them together, and it was very, very poorly done. And just disappointing. It's disappointing. What are your thoughts? Have you seen Chapter 2? Did you like it? Did you think it was really good? Do you think I'm misinterpreting things? Do you think that the tone's just fine? Give me your thoughts in the comments. Because I'm actually curious to see what people think about it. Because me, personally, I just wasn't a huge fan of it. I found it to be adequately disappointing. And that's a real shame. Also, guys, do a remake of The Stand. And do it in a miniseries. Don't do a fucking movie. I don't want to sit there and watch 3 hours of shit, like, crunched together. Do a miniseries. I want to see that shit. But yeah, It Chapter 2, really disappointing for me. Not a huge fan of it. And I'm not really into watching it again. Whereas Chapter 1, I've rewatched quite a few times. I rewatched it in anticipation for Chapter 2. And it just sort of fell short for me. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. Drop me a like. Drop me a dislike. Do whatever the fuck you want. I don't really give a shit. But yeah. Have some content for you. I still need to do fucking impressions of the Code Vein demo, which I might get started on today. I don't know. I don't have to go to work till later. This next week is going to be so fucking hard for me because I work like every single fucking day, and then we're moving, and it's just so much shit going on. But thanks for watching. Tell me what you think of the movie, and just stick around. All three of you.